Hi everyone and welcome to episode number 2 of Open Spaces. This is our brand new series where we talk to people who are looking to renovate their home or their business to make it more accessible. Today we are talking to Jackie Quinlan, and just like my last episode, I'm here with my business partner Kelly McGuire. I'm gonna pass it on to Kelly to let her tell you a little bit about herself.
Thank you. Um, yeah, so Josh and I have been working together for about a year and a half now, I guess. And we came together largely because of this project that I did with the Quinlan family a couple of years ago. And that's what started me on this path of doing accessible home renovations. So I'm really glad to have maintained this relationship with the Quinlan family since then. And they're always been a great resource to me working on projects. I ask Jackie questions all the time, and she's always willing to help. And but yes, it was that project that started things, and how I wound up meeting Josh, and since then we've worked on a lot of different things related to improving accessibility of physical spaces. Really glad to be doing this new series, Open Spaces, and telling those stories.
All right, Kevin, thank you very much for that introduction. Now, Jakey, I wanted to start off by asking a very simple question. Why is it that you chose to renovate your bathroom?
Okay, well, we actually had the bathroom renovated probably 5 or 6 years before that. Had that through a grant with Newfoundland Labrador Housing as well for making places accessible. We did a bathtub at the time. At the time, it worked for Megan, but after a few years, it wasn't any good. It's because of how she sits in the tub. She had to have a shower. So we really needed a shower for her. Um, and Kelly and he came to the rescue. We looked everywhere. Newfoundland Labrador Housing only offers a small budget, 7,500. So everyone we checked with, nobody was able to accommodate us at all with that. And Kelly and Ryan with NL Projects, they were amazing.
Now, just to clarify for people who are watching, Megan is your daughter, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Yes,
Megan is
okay.
my
So,
adult daughter.
so you said you had it done 5 years before, so it wasn't really quite holding up, but after you renovated again, how is it doing now? Is it still holding up?
Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect for everything. The sink works for her. The toilet, of course, the shower is amazing. Love the heated seat and the floors. She absolutely loves that. And yeah, she uses it all the time and haven't had an issue at all.
Well, so I guess when you talk about sink, you're talking about a sink where she can roll underneath it with a wheelchair, and I'm guessing your shower has a shower seat in it with bars and all that. I'm looking at the pictures; they're looking very nice. I'm kind of jealous to be honest. Looking better than my bathroom. Kelly, would you be able to talk a bit more about how long it took you and some of the challenges that you had to deal with when renovating?
Yes, so I was working at the time with Ryan Peaton of Property Projects Limited, and I was working as a project manager and received a call from the Quinlans to come and quote job for a bathroom renovation. We didn't know much about it when we went to the house that day. We saw that it was different from other renovations that we've done before because of Megan's needs, and that there was quite a bit of damage to the um, the structure of the bathroom from water damage, where some of the tiles had come off the wall and things like that. So it was a pretty extensive renovation that was required, meaning that it had to be fully gutted and everything replaced, and all the damaged areas removed. So we came back with a quote for that, which was, it was over $20,000 for the bathroom, which is pretty standard anyway. Like, it wasn't anything crazy what we quoted. And then we learned about the housing grant, and we were like, well, it's not even possible to buy the materials that you need for that amount. And Jackie was saying, as we were leaving the house that day when we presented our quote, I guess we're just going to have to, figure out a way to do this with, with somebody that we know or whatever. And we walked out, and I was like, Ryan, we got to do something here, because it's, it's just what the right thing to do. And he agreed, and we went and approached all of our trades to donate labor, and the tile setters were amazing. Martin Ceramics, the amount of time that they put into it, and the plumbing, King's Plumbing, and Les Little, the painter, the Big Red Electric, Jason, he donated all of the labor for the electrical work, and all of our suppliers. The paint shop donated all the paint. The paint shop continues to support me since then, and now with Accessible and L on these projects. And Kent Building Supplies donated a lot of the decor items, and Schluter Systems donated everything to do the waterproof and heated flooring. And we got at cost pricing, basically, Ventura tile for the other materials that were needed. And the paint shop also donated all of the floor and wall tile. So it did take about 2 months to complete, because everybody was working around other jobs and donating their labor. And the stipulation on the NL housing grants are that the work has to be completed within 30 days of being approved. And housing was very accommodating with us to allow for that extension of time so that we could get it done in that time frame. And I would say that about 4 weeks would be normal time period to be able to complete that, because of time is required for phasing and for inspections and everything. So yeah, it was quite a lot of people came together to make it happen. We're all really grateful. Oh, and Distinctive Interiors donated the cabinetry as well, which was beautiful custom cabinetry, and it really made the icing on the cake, as they say, in that space.
Well, it clearly wasn't a normal renovation. Then it's great to see that many people come together and donate their time and donate the materials to do the right thing to help out an individual be able to use their bathroom properly. I think it's amazing. Um, Clearly though, it seems like the grant itself is not nearly enough to cover these renovations, which is very unfortunate. People who need their bathroom renovated, it's obviously not a one size fit all type of renovation. It depends on the person and their disability, and because of their disability, what needs they require in the bathroom. Uh, and the grant that they have doesn't really seem to cover nearly as much as what is really needed for these types of renovations. Would that be correct?
And they only do 7,500 max. That's not enough to cover pretty much anything. I mean, you know how expensive everything is, especially tile works and cabinetry and stuff like that. I mean, as soon as you talk about accessibility, anything involving accessibility gets more expensive right away. Like you're
Mhm.
looking at trails and special toilets and shower stalls and things like that. And $7,500 just don't cut it. We've never been able to do it without Kelly and Brian's help.
No, I think it's stand up several now. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kelly. You might know, and Jackie, you might know more better number than me, but a stand up seller, it could be between 5 and 10 grand, can't you? Depending on what needs to be done.
Yeah, it could be that much depending on the, what's required structurally and the tile work. But the issue with doing a barrier-free shower has a lot to do with the floor. And it's fortunate just that how that house was originally constructed, we didn't have to tear up the floor to make that work. In a lot of cases, that is what you have to do. And the other thing is, for wheelchair accessibility, is the amount of space that you need is not usually available in a standard bathroom. If you're working with an existing home and renovating an existing space, often you'll have to go into an adjacent space to get more room so that somebody can turn around in there completely. And in this case, the Quinlan's bathroom was already big enough to accommodate that because it had been designed originally to accommodate wheelchair accessibility.
So I guess it would be safe to say, Jackie, if you had to do it again, you would be happy to renovate through Kelly again.
Oh my gosh, yes, definitely. Oh, one point I'd like to make is a big problem with the amount of funding is getting someone who actually knows what they're doing. Because, like, you can get family, friends, or whatever might be able to do it, but they don't really understand the accessibility needs. And,
Yeah.
we get people come in that to look at it, contractors, and they all have their own preconceived notion of what accessibility is. So they didn't want to listen to us. Like, one guy actually said, "Well, I've been doing those bathrooms for 40 years. I knows what I meant. You don't need to tell me." Like, well, it's different for everybody. And even like we've stayed at hotels in town that say they have an accessible bathroom, yet there's like a 6-inch lift to get into the actual shower. It makes no sense at all.
No, they're not accessible at all. I've experienced that problem myself, and as I said earlier, depending on the person and the disability, the renovation could be anywhere from minor to extreme. But it's very important that when we're doing these accessible renovations, it's very important to have clear communication and clear understanding of what's going on, and just be open to listen to the people who you are renovating for, because it's not a normal bathroom. It's a completely different, and each scenario is its own unique experience and problems to deal with along the way. And so this renovation was obviously not typically normal renovation in terms of people working on it. A lot of people donated a lot of material. They donated a lot of the time and a lot of the labor. But unfortunately, obviously, this is not something that can be done for everyone every time. Businesses do not have unlimited resources to donate whenever something like this comes up. And there are a lot of people out there who are in great need of renovating. So my question is for you, Kelly. Is there any ideas you have that we could do to help combat the cost and the complexity of this whole renovation?
Well, the NL Housing Grant Program is great, to have that resource available, but not everybody is eligible for that funding, and it's clearly not enough to complete the project. It's meant to supplement the cost of the project. So, I mean, it's a community that needs to come together in support of these initiatives. And I do think there is a way to do that in a coordinated way. And, through our efforts with Accessible NL over the past year or so, we've been, trying to formulate a way to do that in an ongoing manner. And it's certainly challenging, and it's been difficult to implement things over the past year because of the pandemic. And a lot of businesses are really hurting as it is. So I'm hoping that when things kind of return to or go to a new normal, that we'll be able to approach bigger entities, corporations, for larger sponsorship programs and help more people through that type of support and other ways of generating funds to go towards these projects, so other people can, receive the same type of service that the Quinlans received, because, everyone should have that, ability to be independent in their own home.
Jackie, we talked a lot about the renovations that are already done in your bathroom, but I'm wondering if there's anywhere else in your house that could use some renovations.
Our kitchen definitely needs some renovations. When the kitchen was built originally, Megan was a child, so wasn't made accessible for her. Now that she's getting older, she needs it to be accessible. Eventually, this is going to be her house. She'll be her stuff, and she'll need to be able to cook. She'll need lower countertops and a cooktop stove. And my husband actually has an injury now, so he needs more accessibility in the kitchen as well.
How do you think, without the generosity of the companies, how would you even end up paying for something like that?
Well, that's a good question. Most people I know who've had renovations have had to resort to fundraisers. I know a little girl who had to have her washroom renovated last year, and they did a few different fundraisers, some online actions and things like that. Um, Unfortunately, without companies stepping in and helping out, most people are not going to be able to afford to do huge renovations like that. And fundraising, things like that is pretty much it for the moment.
As you get older, obviously, your needs become more and more, especially with disability. You talked about when you moved in, Megan was only a child. Megan was 8. When you're a child, it's really hard to imagine what your disability is going to be like, as you grow up, as you become an adult.
What you bring up there is an argument for universal design, which is to design things to be more accommodating overall, so that people can use their space over their whole life cycle, because we all do get older. We all do end up having mobility challenges if we don't have them from the beginning. That really, that's the bottom, that's the main issue at hand here, is that renovations wouldn't be required if houses were designed with universal design principles in mind. So I think that that's a big change. Obviously, that's a societal change, and just bringing attention to that and sharing stories of successful projects and showcasing examples of good design that accommodates all persons of different abilities.
Mm. Okay, well, as you said universal design, would you like to, for people who are watching, would you like to expand on it a bit and talk a little more about what universal design means?
Well, just for those who aren't familiar with the concept, universal design is, you know, we talk about it mostly in terms of buildings and the built environment, but I mean, it really has to do with products and technology and spaces in general, whether indoors or outdoors. And it's the idea of designing things to be accessible and usable for people, regardless of ability, age, or other factors. So if like one thing, for example, that would be really easy to do is just to make doors wider. And that is something that is gradually becoming more common because of new build standards are requiring wider doors. But to go back and, you know, make everything wider, in a lot of cases, the space isn't even there to do that. So it's moving forward and putting things in place like that that are going to just make spaces more usable for people in general.
Well, Jackie and Kelly, thank you very much for coming on Open Spaces episode number 2. It's been a pleasure talking to you two about renovations and about universal design. I would like to encourage our audience to like and subscribe. 51% of our viewers are non-subscribers, so if you would like to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing, and that will go a very long way in helping our channel grow. So thank you again, Jackie and Kelly, and thank you all for watching today.